This is Dubai, one of the 7 monarchies that make up the United Arab Emirates, and here we have the world, a group of 300 islands located just off its coast. There's even an island representing California, Antarctica, and yes, even North Korea for those with a desire to visit. So why create a replica of the world with its 300 million cubic meters of sand? Well, why use million-dollar police cars or construct a tower so tall that you can witness the sunset? Why build a ski resort in the heart of the desert? The answer is quite simple, because they are, in a word, impressive. This scenario might seem familiar. A country discovers it's sitting on a wealth of natural resources and its ruling class becomes immensely wealthy, while the average citizen struggles to make ends meet. However, the case of Dubai is not quite the same. Yes, Dubai has oil, but nowadays it contributes to less than 1% of its GDP. What may appear to be excessive opulence is, in fact, a brilliant marketing strategy. Dubai manages to draw in 14 million international visitors annually who spend more than any tourists in other city globally. They spend 65% more than tourists in places like New York or London. Take, for example, the Burj Al Arab hotel, which has just 200 rooms, each spanning 2 stories. It wasn't built primarily for profit, but to attract well-heeled travelers. To its neighboring nations, Dubai appears progressive and modern, while to others, it seems traditional and religious. It stands as a symbol of unparalleled luxury, yet many of its residents lead lives of servitude, barely scraping by. So, how did Dubai become such an extraordinary and unique place? Geography plays a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of civilizations. It determines where people can settle and what they can construct. This is precisely what makes Dubai an astonishing exception. It's probably the last place you'd pick to establish a city. One obvious challenge is the climate, which spans from arid desert to intensely arid desert, with some areas so dry that even Australia might find it challenging. Precipitation is extremely scarce, with only 5 days of rain a year, and the temperatures can soar to 106 degrees during the day and drop to a freezing cold 77 degrees during the winter. Next, let's consider agriculture, or rather the lack of it. Less than 1% of the country's land is suitable for farming, and only a third of that is irrigated. A considerable portion is covered in a salty crust known as sabka, rendering it virtually unusable for agriculture, save for accommodating football players. Remarkably, the entire 3.2 million square kilometer peninsula lacks a single natural river, whereas the United States boasts 250,000. To add to the challenges, a staggering 98.8% of Dubai's water has to be pumped from the Persian Gulf and then desalinated. So, when you combine an inhospitable climate, limited agricultural potential, and no natural water source, you might wonder how on earth this place became a major international city. Let's go back in time a bit. Before Dubai had armies, defined borders, or diplomatic ties, it was governed by tribal entities known as sheikdoms. This state of affairs continued until the early 1800s when pirates in the Gulf took an audacious step. They interfered with Britain's tea trade, which was a vital route to India. Suddenly, the region gained strategic importance, giving the British a reason to establish their presence. The British were keen to avoid any more tea-related incidents. As the saying goes, you go easy on them and the next thing you know, they want fair and equal representation. So they proposed a truce. The pirates would stop raiding their tea shipments, and in return, the British would protect the pirates' territories. And by the way, they were now in charge. The British helped mediate disputes between the sheikdoms, which were later referred to as the trucial states. And these states agreed not to engage with any other foreign powers. This arrangement placed the tribes in a rather unique position. On one hand, they were somewhat isolated from the rest of the world. With the British as a protective barrier, they struggled to engage in trade, expand, or modernize. However, this isolation also provided them with an extraordinary degree of stability, which is the first pillar of Dubai's success. Not a single leader has been overthrown since. To this day, whenever there's violence or chaos elsewhere in the world, investors turn to Dubai as a safe haven for their money. For instance, after the 9/11 attacks, which involved 2 of the attackers from the UAE and some of its banks being used for money laundering, the US introduced the Patriot Act, which frightened away Arab investors. As a result, their investments in the US plummeted from $25 billion annually to just $1.2 billion. All of that money sought safety, and Dubai was the answer. Dubai's stability was put to the ultimate test during the Arab Spring, which saw protests and revolutions in several neighboring countries, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Libya, Syria, Kuwait, and Yemen. However, the United Arab Emirates, of which Dubai is a part of, remained unscathed, with its citizens seemingly content and not taking a part in this unrest. This was due to their unusual social structure. Dubai leaves its citizens with little reason to revolt. They receive various benefits such as free land, water, education, healthcare, and subsidized electricity, food, gas, and even assistance with weddings. Dubai can afford these benefits without employing tyranny by managing its citizenship very carefully. A striking 85% of the population consists of expats, in sharp contrast to the United States, where expats make up only 14% of the population. In Dubai, you might have been born there, lived there for 50 years, but the chances of you ever becoming a citizen is exceedingly slim. The second pillar of Dubai's success is commerce. In 1971, the British decided to leave the tribes to their own devices, paving the way for the tribes to become the 7 emirates we know today. Iran, not wanting the tribes to feel too lonely, decided to capture several islands right before the British departed. The British didn't seem particularly concerned. When ships arrived at the third island, one of the tribes had a clever idea. "Hey, it seems like you're admiring this lovely beachfront property here. Would you be interested in leasing it for $3 million?" The Iranians agreed and, rather curiously, put away the weapons they had brought along for the real estate tour. This arrangement eventually led to the formation of the 7 emirates that make up the UAE, with a strong spirit for business. Dubai has always been business savvy. When Iran increased its taxes, Dubai reduced its own and even provided free land to companies willing to relocate. Today, Dubai attracts businesses with special economic zones like Science Park and Media City, which have become the Middle Eastern hub for journalists, generating a significant amount of free press for Dubai. Each of these zones has distinct laws, employs a British court system, and uses American dollars, making them seem like separate entities within the city. Even more critical in Dubai's plan to diversify away from oil is tourism. In the past, the pearl industry accounted for 95% of the Gulf's economy until the development of artificially cultured pearls by the Japanese decimated Dubai's main source of income. This taught Dubai a valuable lesson: never rely on a single source. So, when oil was discovered in 1966, Dubai wisely invested the proceeds in infrastructure such as roads, factories, ports, and state-run enterprises. However, before Dubai could establish itself as a tourist destination, it needed a way to bring people to the city. Fortunately, Dubai's geographical location provided a natural advantage, as it lies at the crossroads between Europe and Asia, Africa, and Australia. Dubai's journey into aviation began with British airplanes refueling on their way to India. Imperial Airways paid around $150 a month for landing rights, but Dubai saw the potential for improvement. It decided to open its skies to any airline that was willing to come. Later, when Gulf Air reduced its weekly flights by 45, Dubai realized the need for an airline of its own. This decision marked a turning point. Today, Dubai boasts the busiest international airport in the world. Its airline, Emirates, has become the 4th largest in terms of distance traveled. Dubai certainly faces various challenges on the road ahead, but with these 3 pillars, careful citizenship management, a thriving business environment, and a burgeoning aviation sector, it's well prepared for a future without oil.